Now I'm going to walk you through your assignment. So you're supposed to find an experiment that is of interest to you. So the librarians and the resources you have, you're looking for an experiment. And then I'll get to some details like, did you find one or not? So first of all, I do have an experiment I found. In fact, you saw the data for that on the first or second day of school. And it's called Brain Drain. The mere presence of one's own smartphone reduces available cognitive capacity. So depending on how your research comes up, you may need some help. What I first want you to do is make sure you can find your abstract. And there's the abstract right there. Here's the title. I probably should list the authors, but I'm okay with just the title. I don't need to see the authors today because you're going to give me a link anyway so I can see that. Okay, so you find an experiment that's of interest to you, all right? You put the title of the experiment down for question 1, and you paste a link to the study here. Now, you should be able to do that because we did this in the last year. Then the next part is really about you. Why is this study interesting to you? So for me, I want my students to learn, and when I see cell phones out, I'm wondering how much they can be really learning. So I was very happy to find this study that showed I was not mistaken that cell phones, even on the desk, even if you're not using them, they can distract you. So then paste the abstract. So let me go back to my study. And hopefully you should be able to find something like abstract, depending on your source. And that's usually the easiest thing to find is the abstract. And the abstract should be short. It should be about a paragraph, and you just copy and then you just paste the abstract right there. So this gives me a nice summary so I can know I will be reading the abstract to get a nice overview of your study. Now, next part is, how do you know that this is an experimental study? And so here's the hint. If it's an experiment, a treatment was applied randomly to subjects. That's what we're looking for. So if you see things like meta-study or biography, that's not what we're talking about here. We're looking for an experiment. Now, one of the nice things on the article I found, so if I go to full text here, and it has sections here, it made my life much easier. So it has an overview of the experiments that I can click on. And there are 2 experiments going on. I don't need every experiment they do. I don't need every data set. You can pick the one that's either easier for you to submit or the one that you were most interested in. So I know when I first looked at this study, I really only looked at experiment 1. And you can see in experiment 1, we test the proposition that the mere presence of one's own smartphone reduces available cognitive capacity. And then they talk about the tests they use. So who are the participants? So let's look at the questions we have here. I'll ask that later. So you might skip to question 6 first if that's easier, all right? And looking here, you can see there are 548 undergraduates. 548 undergraduates, that's for experiment 1. I'm not going to have to do anything about experiment 2. I just need 1 experiment. And what were the treatments? Let's go ahead, and the procedure will tell you the treatments. All right, so maybe depending on what you're looking for. So they're going to use big words. You might want to look them up on Google if you need to. We manipulated smartphone salience by randomly assigning participants to one of 3 phone location conditions. So that's what they did. Either the desk, pocket, bag, or other room. So participants, and see this word, randomly assigning participants. That is the magic thing you're looking for. That is a traditional, well-designed experiment, is randomly assigning the treatments. What are the treatments? Well, it's the phone location. All right, it's either in the desk, the pocket or bag, or the other room. Okay, so let me go here. And the location of the phone, the treatments were on the desk, in the backpack. Well, I could say pocket or bag. Let's fix that. And one was in another room. So I have all 3 treatments. How do I know this was an experiment? Well, it says the participants were randomly assigned. So I don't have to say the classrooms. The study said the participants were randomly assigned treatments, right? And so if I look here, you can see that right here, assigning participants to one of 3 phone location conditions. Now, I think they were actually assigning whole classes, because after participants entered the testing room, let's see, what did they say? Participants in the desk condition left most of their belongings in the lobby, but took their phones into the testing rooms for use in a later study. Once in the testing room, they were instructed to place their phones face down in a designated location on their desk. Participants in the pocket bag condition carried all of their belongings into the testing room with them and kept their phones wherever they naturally would. So they might actually be in the same room. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. Of the 174 participants in this condition, half put their phones in their pockets and about half put their phones in their bag. And they didn't really see a difference between the 2 groups. So participants in all conditions were instructed to turn your phones completely on silent. That means turn off the ring and the vibrate so your phone doesn't make any sound. So they're trying to minimize, like if they're getting a lot of tweets and everything, what they're getting, all right? And then they had them do some tasks, right? So you can read about what the tasks are. And then here's their test. So there should be some results. You're looking for results. And here I'm just picking up cognitive capacity. I don't need every result ever done. And you can see here, this shows the working memory capacity and the fluid intelligence based on phone location. And they should have, do they have results? In, this factor does not. I'm just looking to see if they state really clearly. I mean, the picture does. Well, it looks like the caption here captures the results, right? So, effective randomly assigning phone location on available those tests. The participants in the desk condition, which would be high salience, they know their phones there, displayed the lowest available cognitive capacity. Those in other room condition displayed the highest level available cognitive capacity. So that would be a nice way of summarizing the results. So hopefully you don't have to look for that too much. Here's some discussion. Yeah, here in the discussion, it kind of states it again here. So you might find your answer in the discussion. So that would be right here. What were their conclusions, findings? So that's the last question I asked on this. They found, I could have just copied and pasted the caption, and that would kind of say, oh, this is what we found. So if you have a nice image, that would be a good way to show your findings. That won't always be the case. You won't always have images. But there should be something like, oh, we found this out. All right, so that is an overview. There are only 8 questions on your assignment. 1, the name of the study, a link to the study so I can look it up myself. Why the study is interesting to you. I think this is actually one of the more interesting parts to me, because you guys are going to find all sorts of cool things. And then paste your abstract. A good study always has an abstract. If it doesn't, then you go find something else. And then find out, odds are you're going to probably copy that sentence verbatim for me. So that's just your check to make sure they say that somewhere. It doesn't have to be exactly those words, but treatments must be randomly assigned. Who were what are the subjects, and then what were the treatments, and then finally, what are the findings? So good luck on your assignment. Thank you.